have joined us today. And, we are very happy that KKBiotech and, the Society for Promotion of Biotechnology in India have come together. It was more an accidental coming together because myself and George were just talking. And he said, okay, let us do one on S. Ramachandran. We said that because all of us are great admirer of him. I said, why not we have one? So that's how it all started. Before that, we managed to do for Ullas Wagh, whom I admired greatly. And suddenly we felt that, look, there is no recorded history of how things happen, how it all started. And certainly Dr. P.K. Ghosh was very actively involved in the department, and he did some things for which we are all enjoying the fruits today as having products in the country. And why not we have a conversation with Dr. Ghosh, who was advisor to the DBT, then he moved to after retirement, he moved into the industry. And before that, he was in the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. And I'm told that he has interacted with Dr. S. Ramachandran those days. We're talking about something like 1978, 79. So, it is very interesting to come. And then later, he was picked up by Dr. Ramachandran to be in the DPT. Anyway, I don't want to say much because he's going to talk a lot of his experiences which he has had. Then our interviewer today is Professor Dinesh Kumar. I'm very happy because he's also one of the early students who did MSc Biotechnology from BHU. He was from the second batch of BHU. But it's very interesting to see when you look at the profile of Professor Dinesh Kumar, he went a step further because he went on to do also a law degree, LLB and LLM. And he wrapped in biotechnology, what should be the legal situation, what are the things, how to protect, especially on IPR. Sometime we'll get him to speak on it because he's the first man I came across. In spite of being, he joined the ICR system. He was, he was an ARS officer as a young boy who joined in biotechnology, and he was involved in the cow genome sequencing project way back in 2007, 2008, where he had a paper in Science. But that's only one aspect of him. But more than anything else, I must say, he has understood the legality very well, and especially from biotechnology perspective, and he has read the rule books very well. And it is always a pleasure to, today you will see him sharing some of his things. So over to you, Dinesh.
Thank you, and good evening, and welcome to all respected dignitaries. I am really, I do not have words to express thanks to each one of you and to also our audience and participants. So as Professor Kannan sir, who happens to be my mentor and guru, just he told what benefit we are actually getting from biotechnology products as on today. That is really enormous, as rightly said by Professor Kannan sir. And today we are dreaming like from 3 trillion to maybe 5 trillion or maybe someday even 10 trillion economy. And we expect that, yes, the biotechnology made by some of you, those who are present here, including our main speaker, Dr. Ghosh sir, and Professor Kannan sir, who was instrumental in making the syllabi. So from this 3 to 5 trillion to 10 trillion, we are targeting 150 billion by 2025. That's
just one minute, Dinesh. There is too much of noise coming. Can I request the others to mute their this thing?
Yes.
I appreciate if you can mute your other thing. We are getting a lot of children's noise from behind.
Students are requested to
Rohit Garg, Rohit Garg,
Rohit Garg, you have logged in from two systems, and both the system your mic is on. So
1 minute. I think no,
kindly
because
join
I'm
one
presenting,
system.
I'm not able to control that side. Okay.
I guess now it's better.
Now it's better. Yes, yes. Yeah.
So we are extremely sorry to our viewers, but let us move forward. Professor Kannan sir had been saying, like, the products of biotechnology today, we are reaping the benefit, and the country is now looking forward from 3 to maybe 5 or 10 trillion economy, and we expect that biotechnology has to play a major role, and especially in the bioeconomy, and we expect 150 billion US dollar by 2025. And at the same time, we also expect around 10,000 startup to move forward. And very interestingly, I am happy to share this with the policymakers at that time. I will say the founder people of the Indian Biotechnology Program, that yes, we never realized that the COVID will happen and the growth rate, average compounded growth rate, will be plus 12 for the science sector or bioindustry sector. At the same time, when other so-called softwares and other industries, they will have in minus. So hats off to you, to the policymakers and the visionary people, that as a student of biotechnology and today as a faculty of biotechnology, I can see the kind of role you have played, and the time has come. We must archive all these things so that the generation next to come, they know about the original contributors, and it's a really great honor and pleasure. Dr. P.K. Ghosh, sir, the very first question I would like to know, and I would like to learn along with my viewers, that, sir, why these law and regulations were required at that time when biotechnology, especially the biotechnology products, including modern biotechnology products, were to be launched or being launched, or it's already there. So the question is, why law and regulations were required? That we would like to listen from you, because you have been at the helm of affairs and you have been taking care of it. So nobody can actually update us better than you, sir. So over to Dr. P.K. Ghosh, sir, just to enlighten us, like why law and regulations were required, especially in biotechnology sector. Dr. Ghosh, sir, please.
Thank you, Professor Kannan, Professor Dinesh Kumar, my SBPI members, Dr. Georgion, I am seeing Dr. Gandhi, I am also seeing Dr. Ramanaya, and my friend from NCL Pune. Participants, listeners, good evening. Before I start, I want to know whether this voice is adequately clear to all of you.
Yes,
Yes,
you're
sir.
very clear.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
It's clear. Okay,
Yes.
okay. So the question that was raised, the first question was, why laws and regulations for modern biotechnology? I am trying to respond to that question first. You know, any government must allow the use of substances that help its citizens to survive and grow. After the invention of new biotechnology products, where methods were invented for the development and use of organisms manipulated by genetic manipulation or genetic engineering methods of direct non-sexual transfer of genetic material to an organism to add or change one or more of its genetic traits. In early 1970s, the people all over the world became suspicious about the safety from such products. One international conference by the name The Asilomar Conference on Recombinant DNA was organized by the Nobel laureates like Paul Berg, like Maxim Singer, and other scientists colleagues to discuss the potential biohazards and regulation of new biotechnology. The conference was held in February 1995 at Asilomar State Beach, California. A group of about 140 professionals, including biologists, lawyers, and physicians, participated in the conference to draw up guidelines to ensure the safety of recombinant DNA technology. The participants at that time felt that scientific research on recombinant DNA technology should be carried out more in the public domain so that the public is aware of the safety of new products emanating from such research. Research on recombinant DNA technology should be carried out transparently on a precautionary principle. Following the Asilomar Conference recommendations, the Indian government pronounced the environment protection laws in 1986 and rules in 1989. There were no industrial licensing rules or laws yet in India up to 1987 on modern biotech products. I joined the Department of Biotechnology in May 1987. At that time, after my joining DBT, I was allotted to promote three R&D projects, which were: number one, standardization of the production of technique of bamboo plantlets produced through tissue cultured somatic embryogenesis and assessing the utilities of such plants in comparison to the seed-raised bamboo plants. The project was at North Campus, Delhi University. The second one was solubilization of insoluble copper sulfide by thiobacillus ferrooxidans to convert it into soluble copper sulfate and extracting the copper from the recovered lichet at the Agarkar Research Institute, Pune. And third was development of simple, easy to use diagnostic kits for a number of diseases which was being pursued at multiple institutions in the country, like the National Institute of Immunology, All Indian Institute of Medical Science, Wardha Medical College, and many others. I felt that these projects were good, but the potential to make major impact in the country on biotechnology was limited from such projects. Moreover, these were not recombinant DNA-based products. Therefore, I thought to induct the industry into the modern biotechnology fold, starting with the conventional biotechnology products, while performing my duties to promote these R&D projects also, which were given to me at that time by my boss, Dr. S. Ramchandran. So the basic reason that I am mentioning is people thought that these technologies could be dangerous and therefore they must be handled with precaution. That was the basic reason why there was a need to create laws in the country. I will talk about Indian laws, but before that, let me have the next question from Dr. Dinesh Kumar. Or do you want to know more about the safety aspects? I said that the safety aspects emanated from the fears of the scientists all over the world to...
Dr. Dinesh Kumar, you unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, please.
Oh, I can't hear Dinesh.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Ghosh, sir, for giving this idea, like why it was required out of fear, and definitely that was the reason. Along with the evolutionary aspect at global level, you have given the idea to our viewers. Thank you so much, Dr. P.K. Ghosh, sir. Now It's very interesting to learn, sir, that you started in DBT and started with old biotechnological concept for tissue culture diagnostic. That's perfectly fine. You realized that yes, new biotechnology using recombinant, you have to move forward. But from that time to the modern time where we are now moving with vaccines, drugs, your bioinformatics, and in fact, biotechnology has played major role in agriculture, veterinary science, including the aquaculture, and the diagnostics which you started at the beginning, looking for the program. Now it has taken much larger shape along with the biopharma and clean energy, and now we are also moving towards the secondary agriculture. But it's very interesting. It would be that we have grown this much in biotechnology, but now the basic thing which I would like to listen from you, that how actually this Department of Biotechnology was created. I still remember, I would like to share with my students that I remember in the Banaras Hindu University way back in 1984-85, I was learning biology and I was trying to become a basic biologist. But suddenly we heard the news that yes,
You are
now new
admitting
program
people.
biotechnology is coming.
Are you
And
admitting people?
after 3 decades, we could see
Hello.
this much has grown up. But we would like to know first-hand experience from your side that how DBT was actually created, sir. Can you enlighten our viewers and students like how DBT was created? Because you are the right eyewitness.
Thank you very much. Let me tell you that the Department of Biotechnology is one of the many departments of Science and Technology Ministry. Department was created in February 1986 with the approval of the then Prime Minister of the country, late Rajiv Gandhi. DBT in its present website on descriptions of missions has stated that it shall devote itself wholly to achieving excellence in the promotion of biotechnology in the country within the ambit of Allocation of Business Rules 1961 as enumerated through the Government of India notifications. The first two notifications were CD 172/86 dated 27 February 1986, and the second one was 86/86 dated 31/1/1987. All the mandates of DBT are expressed and published in the government. Pardon?
Hello,
Okay.
are you able to see the poster?
No.
No, not yet.
Not
All
yet.
the mandates of DBT are expressed and published in the Government of India Allocation of Business Rules book, which is amended and published by the government from time to time. I shall speak more about the mandate of DBT, but let me first have your other responses, because I just told that DBT was created in 1986 through two notifications, and more notifications actually came later. Would you like to show a slide about what is the mandate of DBT?
Yes, I'll just show that.
Yeah.
Just one minute.
So thank you.
No, I'll just.
Thank thank you, Dr. Ghosh, sir. And now we are able to see the same thing. Professor Kannan sir is sharing it. So our viewers will be able to see those things in text so that quickly they can grasp.
Yeah, just 1 minute. Are you able to see it now?
No, sir.
We can't see.
Oh boy. Just 1 minute. I'll go back again. Surprise. One minute. I'll just. I don't know why it's giving problem. Are you able to see now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'll go back to this.
But the slides have not yet come.
No, I'll just come. Are you able to see now?
Yeah. But can you make it a little
Full
bigger?
Yeah. I'll make it bigger. 1 minute.
It's not very, yeah, okay,
Yes,
little better.
fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry for this. Yeah.
Thank you for the question. Actually, unless we go into the mandate of the DBT, we will not be able to appreciate why the rules and procedures are actually were made. Myself and I am seeing Mr. Ramannaya, two of us actually did day and night work on this as to how to make the law effective in this country. At that time, we did not get much of legal support from any other department, except that we had interpreted everything based on what is written in the book. We are not from law background, but we have very strong common sense. Moreover, I have earlier worked on two industrial departments, of which I shall tell you a little later. But let me come to the allocation of business of the Department of Biotechnology. Here, I must tell you that this background I had acquired because I had a past background. Let me tell you that in India, all central government activities are carried out through ministries and departments created through and notified in the Allocation of Business Rules 1961. The rules emanate from the exercise of powers conferred by Clause 3 of the Article 77 of the Indian Constitution. The Government of India Allocation of Business Rules 1961 was framed and notified on January 14, 1961. The rules have been modified from time to time, and according to the latest printed version, amended up to 31st January 2017, the Department of Biotechnology is allocated its mandate of activities, which is written on the printed book on the net at pages 131 and 132, which you are seeing here. But then what is written in page 131 and 32 is not as much details as we have written here. I am just telling you why. The document presently available in the public domain is not updated. The department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on Science and Technology, Environment and Forests considered the demands for grants 2018 and 19 of the Department DBT in its meeting held on 13th February 2018, and in the ensuing report of the Parliament, the full mandate of DBT was described. I have taken the mandate from there. If you look at this particular slide, which is before your eyes, you will see that all the conjecture, all the rules and regulations which are written here, most of them were contained in the earlier notifications dated 27th February 1986 and 31st January 1987, of which I had already mentioned. Now, if you very clearly, very succinctly and very critically examine all the rules, then you will see that specifically the rules hover around certain specific work to be assigned by the Department of Biotechnology. Now, I wanted to tell that all these rules are hovering around recombinant DNA products. Now, when we talk of biotechnology, we do not talk only of recombinant DNA products. We talk of anything which is produced by living organism. This happens because at that time, in 1987, we did not have enough knowledge about what is recombinant DNA technology, though in the mandate, it is very clearly written that we have to work basically on recombinant DNA technology. Now, I have summarized the main content of these 12 rules in another one slide, which I ask to kindly project before you. Now, if you look at this one, I would like to draw your attention by reading the points. The points is, number one is to serve as the administrative and implementing department for fulfilling the national objectives of biotechnology. It does not talk about Industries Development and Regulation Act rules. It talks about serving as administrative and implementing department for fulfilling the national objectives in biotechnology. They should have mentioned that all the rules and laws that are applicable in India should also be applicable to this. This is not written here. So that is why we had to become the administrative ministry. I'm coming to that. Then if you see the next one, manufacture and ensure application of recombinant cell-based and DNA vaccines. Here it is very clear. Diagnostics and other biotechnological products, which include all rDNA products. So basically the rule is for rDNA products. And the third one is to act as the central agency for the import of genetically manipulated materials, cultures, cells, specimens, tissues, and biotech products, including DNA and RNA of any type or size, and for promoting their products in this country. Using this third point, which I am just showing here, myself and Dr. Ramanaya had produced a rule that by virtue of the powers conferred on us, the DBT officials, through the mandate, this mandate, we are authorized to provide an import license to a company which is willing to import a genetically modified seed. By applying this rule in 1994, I still remember, I issued a permit to Mexico. I will talk about it maybe in the next lecture. And that is how the recombinant DNA product for the first time in the agriculture area came into the product. Now, if you look at this, this particular summary, the fourth one, which is very important, you see, it talks about establishment of National Biotechnology Regulatory Authority. This was not written in the two mandates that we have already mentioned, which were of January 1986 and February 1986. Why? Because at that time, the National Biotechnology Regulatory Authority concept was not yet born. This concept was born only after the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety were instituted by the world community in 2000. I shall talk about it in my next lecture if I get an opportunity.
So thank you, Dr. P.K. Ghosh, sir. It was very interesting to listen, and I'm sure the students of biotechnology and all our audience, they must have understood. And I just wish to summarize it so that our viewers can very quickly get what Dr. P.K. Ghosh sir has been updating us as a first-hand experience. So we saw how DBT was created way back in 1986. And in 1991, this globalization event happened. So we can classify them in two parts. One was the pre-globalization events, and one was the post-globalization event. And as Dr. Ghosh sir had been saying, that in January 2003, very precisely, India government also ratified the Cartagena Protocol of Biosafety. And you see, the first in the very first question, sir has answered like what were the concern. But once you have the globalization and there is a global economy, then we have to be compliant to the international regulation. And very, very rightly said by Dr. P.K. Ghosh sir, that this post-globalization event, especially after 1991, we can see that Indian biotechnology regulations are in a global framework. And very rightly, he said this concept, which is the last point, that establishment of National Biotechnology Regulatory Authority. So this here starts the role of the Department of Biotechnology, much more than an ordinary department, I will say, as a student of biotechnology, as an eyewitness, as a student, and also as a law graduate. I can see today that it acquired role, which we can say the advisory role, number one, and then regulatory role, and very interestingly, now it is in monitoring role also. So you can see our students can learn that it started as a unit, then at a department, but gradually you see the role of and the requirement and international compliance. It made us to make this regulatory authority having role not only as an advisory, but also as a regulatory and monitoring. And I understand that it was a great scientific vision, because it involves so much of intricacy to understand and to regulate. At the one hand, you have to regulate within our country, And also you have to regulate globally in compliance to the international regulations, which India is a signatory. So thank you, Dr. Ghosh sir, for giving these wonderful views and how we actually landed up in these four mandates. What was the global requirement and compulsion and compliance, and what was the internal need of the government of India to move forward in this new area. And today you see how these things are going to give, and already we are getting a lot of benefit. And as a biotechnology teacher now, I have much more expectation in the very same role, and I can say that it was a fantastic vision of you people, all the founder members of biotechnology, including all the founding teachers. So now we would like to move forward, especially when we see a role as an industry. Then traditionally, if we see the biology, which has been little different than industry, and I'm sure you will agree to it. And in those days, it must be very challenging for you, sir, especially you and your team, to understand that industrial licensing and a license Raj was there, and that was gradually getting removed, especially post-globalization event. But it was probably at that time with Ministry of Industry, and perhaps all biologists, they are not well acquainted at that time. Then how to develop policy and how to connect it with the industry, it must be a very Herculean task for you and challenging task, not only for you, even for your team. So, sir, the question is, can you share your insight, that unique history and visionary experience, that how you handle this licensing aspect, especially in biotechnology? This licensing.
A very good question. Actually, you have to patiently listen to me for a few minutes, because this talks about the history of how the Department of Biotechnology became the administrative ministry. So let me start with your permission. You see, based on the mandate of the DBT, to which I had full access, I had studied it carefully and then had an elaborate discussion with Dr. Ramchandran, our then secretary, mentioning that DBT should prepare a paper to become the administrative ministry for all biotech-related industrial activities under the Industries Development and Regulation Act 1951 in the country, to guide the safe use and development and rational development of modern biotech industries in the country. Without access to participate in the promotion of Indian biotechnology, I thought DBT would not be able to shape the full path of development in the evolving modern crucial sector, which was at that time in its infancy world over and was briskly evolving and growing in certain developed nations only. The origins of modern biotechnology were seeded within the birth of genetic engineering technology, as I have already mentioned. During those periods in 1987 and earlier, India excelled in the production of fermentation-based antibiotics, certain vitamins, microbial transformation of a few drug substances such as cyclopentinophenonthrins, alcohol production from molasses, microbial enzymes, extraction of active substances from plant parts, extraction of glandular products like insulin from bovine and porcine pancreas, liver extracts from slaughtered domestic animals, and the like. There was no modern biotechnology yet in the country in 1987. I had several years of experience dealing with the idea and act, as I was working earlier in the Director General of Technical Development of the Ministry of Industry, and later in the Department of Chemicals and Fertilizers, Ministry of Petroleum and Chemicals. And during my stay in those ministries, I used to deal with the promotion of drugs and pharmaceutical industry in the country under the Industries Development and Regulation Act. The Ministry of Industry is the administrative head for all matters relating to the Industries Development and Regulation Act in the country. And this ministry allocates different business of industrial activities to various other ministries and departments while coordinating all activities relating to the Act. The Ministry of Industry remains the chief for industrial activities in the country, working and authorizing through the administrative departments and ministries the companies and industries in the country to carry out different business activities in India and coordinates the activities through the assistance of other ministries through their expertise, making them the administrative ministry and empowering them to develop and regulate the growth of the business in a healthy and rational way under the Industries Development and Regulation Act. There was no notified department of the Government of India in 1987 to carry out the administrative work relating to biotechnology-based industries under the Industries Development and Regulation Act. Indeed, there was no clear-cut definition also of which activities constitute biotech industries, although it is written in the mandate of DBT that basically we should look at rDNA products. But since rDNA product was not known at all to the Indian population, especially the industry, they might be known to the high-class scientists, but the ordinary people did not know about it. That is why we started with biotechnology in a little, in a broader sense. I had therefore to define what can be defined as within the ambit of biotechnology, so that we can become the administrative ministry for the country. I had defined it in the DBT paper sent to the Ministry of Industry and used the term based broadly on the definition of Karoli Erike, the Hungarian agricultural engineer, who coined the term biotechnology in 1919 for any industrial activity utilizing living organisms. Can you show the slide here? Okay, it is here. Based on the submission made by us, actually you see here, we are saying very broadly that any industrial activity utilizing living organism. This also includes recombinant DNA products. That was a little clever way of telling that, well, I have included our amended also, as well as the broader term of biotechnology. This based on our papers, the Ministry of Industry was so happy that they actually gave us the power of administrative ministry, and a new era had come up. Will you show this second slide, actually, and next slide? Yeah. You see, in this slide, I am saying specifically that this event of our becoming the administrative ministry in 1987 actually made India very proud, because there was a government department which could look after the promotion of industry in modern biotechnology area. This was the starting point. So I would now say, if my mentor permits, how you are assessing the projects. Would you like to tell me, or you will put the question first?
Yes, I would like to put a question first. It was very interesting to note, Dr. P.K. Ghosh said, that how at the time you managed especially this licensing part and other thing. Now it's very interesting. As a student of biotechnology and also as a law student, I can see the role of DBT in terms of its regulatory mechanism and other thing, but it's very interesting because I had the opportunity to study technology management, and I was a very serious student, and I completed the course from Central University, Hyderabad. And there we learned one interesting thing, that any investor, if putting the money in the technology, especially for the growth of the technology, will always expect some kind of return on the investment, and things like when my break even will come, and then when it will run into the profit. So here comes the technology and the market regulations. And I would like to know that at that time there was nothing like in DBT, because at the time I was a PhD student of biotechnology. I was not able to see, like, do we have a technology mapping within the country? At the time, certainly it was not there. And the technology mapping, especially for biotech industry at the global level, it was not available to us, and information technology was also not available to us. So I understand today's technology investment is decided by heavily driven by the data, and we have a technology landscaping in the gap. Then we will decide the investment, and then we will move forward. Even we will have a market penetration strategy and the total cost of the market we are going to capture. So having said that, those technology discipline and investment, I didn't see that those things were there at that time. But it will be very interesting if I ask a question to you, sir, as a technology manager. This time I'm putting forward you this question, that did DBT actually identify certain products and services, or how actually the Indian biotechnology industry grew up? Because you have given a wonderful story, like how it was created, how law were made, and how the regulatory role became there, and how industrial rules were applicable. It's really, as a student of biotechnology, I'm so happy to learn along with my audience. But now the question is, who guided us for the development of products, and not only product, even with the services? Sir, can you actually share us, like how did the DBT identify, or did the DBT play any role into identification of the product and the services, in terms of, I will say, as a guide this time, that how DBT guided the Indian industry? We would like to listen from you.
It's a very good question, but before I go to answer that question, I would also like to say how we were actually examining the industrial licensing applications. That is also very relevant, because you will then understand what kind of work we were really doing, and that is why we actually got so much of praise from the Ministry of Industry. Let me tell you that in DBT, a small cell was created comprising of myself, my one scientific officer by the name Sri S.L. Govindwar, then a young and enthusiastic officer, and a few clerical staff. With this small setup, the technical assessment was made on the licensing proposal submitted to the government. The evaluation comprised of a quick and broad assessment of processes and technologies to be used in the manufacture of proposed biotech products or services to be rendered, including the use of raw materials, instruments and capital goods to be deployed, the sources of technology, and the extent of collaboration, if any, including foreign collaboration, and the terms of the collaboration, the site or the location of the manufacturing facility to be established, and its implication, if any, on the effects of generation of pollutants from the discharge waste that are likely to create negative effects to the human habitats. These are the issues we used to examine and put our recommendation. The recommendations were finalized, and we used to get the approval of secretary and then send it to the ministry, based on which industrial licensing applications were assessed. Let me tell you here that at that time I had a Vespa scooter, and I remember that I had to visit multiple libraries, including AIMS library at the Ansari Road, NII and JNU library in their campus, BIS laboratory near the INSA campus, Delhi University laboratory at the North campus, BICP laboratory at the Udyog Bhavan, and many other research institutes. And most of the librarians used to know me, because I used to ask them the question, can I get any information about the technology for this particular type of product that for which a license is being asked. So I used to get some information. Many times I could not get also. Please remember that that was not the time of our Google time. We could not get anything on our table. You have to go to the library, make a search, and then find out what is there. Subsequently, in 1991, although we were doing so much of work, in 1991, when the process of liberalization was set forth by the government and required a reduction in the scope of enforcing non-tariff barriers to the imports, the industrial licensing policy was amended and modified by the government, and multiple steps of deregulation and relaxation were announced. The new Industries Development and Regulation Act almost reduced the scope of technical audit. However, because the environmental safety as well as human and animal safety issues were there for the rDNA products, even today, the licensing requirement is still in vogue, which requires that if you are going to produce a rDNA product, you have to take a license under Industries and Development Regulation Act. Having said this, let me go to the next question, which my mentor has very correctly said, what we were doing to tell where people should invest. Go to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. You see, DBT being recognized as the administrative ministry for biotechnology products and processes, the country thus enabled the department to have closer interaction with the industry. To promote biotechnology, modern biotechnology, I prepared scientific papers and delivered several lectures and published multiple scientific articles narrating the areas and products where new biotech industries could be started. A couple of books, chapters by the author published at that time on the promotion of biotechnologies were widely read and appreciated. This was necessary at that time because people in the Indian industry had very little idea about modern recombinant DNA-based products. I used to get very big VIPs and their relatives who used to come to my room to say, Saab, we want to make investment in modern DNA technology. Tell us where we should invest. This particular slide of only 6 papers, I have written many papers. In fact, many times I used to have a little problem because all these papers were to be typed and written. Myself and Dr. Ramanya, who is still there here, we used to type, and sometimes my PA also used to type. Because it is a huge information that has to be done. People do not like to work on subjects which are not within their mandate of their services. It's really very difficult. But yet we are in a position to publish all this, and all these papers are actually on the net. And I would suggest that those who are doing research on the history of biotechnology in India, they should read these papers. And if they want, I can give copies of these papers to them. The point to be taken note of in these papers is that then most modern topics of recombinant DNA products and services were not really known. At that time, I realized that recombinant E. coli-based and yeast-based products were anticipated to enter in the Indian market. I wrote a review on recombinant E. coli-based products as early as in 1988. There was no paper I can challenge. No paper was there from India to say that which products are important, which are to be produced by recombinant DNA technology in E. coli in 1988. No other Indian paper was then available. In the review in 1992, I spoke about several rDNA-based products such as hepatitis B vaccine, recombinant human insulin, industrial enzymes made by recombinant DNA technology, and many others which could be produced at a cheaper rate by using recombinant DNA technology. During the same period, I spoke about the developments of simple, easy-to-use diagnostic kits for India. The above cited papers and several others were efforts of DBT to enthuse the young entrepreneurs to invest in modern biotechnology. Interested researchers working on the history of modern biotechnology in India can consult these papers for being benefited. A paper of mine on biotechnology in India, published in 1993 in a reputed Australian journal, was the first paper on the status of conventional biotechnology in India. The paper had captured the details of certain restriction endonucleases. At that time, we were working on certain very few restriction endonucleases to cut and paste the genes. So that is what is written. I'm talking of 1993. Now, having said all this and coming to almost a conclusion, I want to show 2 slides because I think that there will be certain participants who would be students or those who would be entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs. They would be willing to know what are the areas where the industry is running very comfortably and what are the areas a budding entrepreneur or a budding student must be complacent with, I should say more skilled with, so that he or she can get easily a job. Can you show the next slide, please? I have identified only 9 areas. 9 areas. Based on these 9 areas, our modern biotechnology industry in India is working. I do not want to go into the details because this will be available. I will be giving it to everybody. You can read them at your leisure and then think whether a correct thing has been told or not. Go to the next slide, please. Now, this slide says that if you want to get a good job, or if you want to set a biotech industry as an entrepreneur, as a budding entrepreneur, then you must be proficient in one of these 9 technologies. I have just written there. You read them at your leisure and think whether I have correctly said or not. I am very sure that these are the very right areas where if you put your concentration, then only you will be in a position to become a world-class biotechnologist. There is no doubt about that. I would now show I am now to make a statement. I make a statement. It's a statement. I would like to say here that several entrepreneurs had read all the papers that I have shown. I have read many other papers that I have not shown here. There are certain books also which were even inaugurated by the then minister. So on immunodiagnostics. I am not told about them. So I would like to say that I remember to have advised then many young entrepreneurs. Among them were Dr. K.K. Rao, presently the chairman and managing director of Transgene Biotech. He's an MD in pathology. He used to come to me and say, by what new biotechnology we should produce. We said that you go for recombinant DNA-based HBV, hepatitis B vaccine. He actually came up, but ultimately he could not succeed. That is a different story. Then I also advised the presently Padma Bhushan Bharat Prasad Reddy, who created Shantha Biotechnology. His hepatitis B vaccine, Dr. Ramanaya knows, and many of the knows how much trouble we have taken to promote his particular product through our RCGM, so that he gets approval under Drugs Act to do the conduct the human trials. Then Padma Bhushan Dr. Ela Krishna, chairman and managing director of Bharat Biotech, who is now world famous because he has developed a vaccine against COVID-19. We have also advised him and told that, well, you invest in these areas. Then I would also mention about late Dr. I.A. Modi, Mr. I.A. Modi, to whom I told that you please set up your tissue culture based banana plant. You will make a lot of money. He's really making, he is no more there, but his son and others are making a very good amount of money. Then I had also remembered to have advised Dr. Sudhir Vaid, who is the chairman and managing director of Conferred Biotech. I think today it is a 700 or 800 crore business. You ask him how much we have advised. During that time, you must remember that time biotechnology was not known. Then Sri Raju Barwale, the man who had brought in BT cotton technology in this country. There are many more names. I do not want to mention all of them, but these particular things I have mentioned because they are also my good friend. The modern industrial biotechnology phase started to show up, and gradually it became stronger and has reached the present heights. In the gradual development of industries in modern biotechnology over the years, DBT had made a prominent role to play, both in terms of approvals as well as promotion through product selection, and gradual progress is made coming up to the present stage. It was Dr. Ramchandran and his team who took the initial step to propagate this industrial sector in India in this massive way. In the next episode, I shall speak about initiation of modern biotechnology and application of Environment Protection Act and rules, where my friend Dr. Ramanaya has also made a lot of good work, and we will talk about them, and we will talk about how recombinant DNA products have come to this country. I have actually made a review also telling how many products of all recombinant products that are being produced in India. There is a paper, I will also mention about that, but that in the next meeting, not in today's one. I thank you all participants. I took a little longer time, but then this is a very important thing, and I thought that you have enjoyed. Lastly, I thank Professor Dinesh Kumar and Professor Kannan for organizing this very important event. Thank you very much.
So, Professor Kannan sir, if you feel as an organizer, so can I quickly summarize for the...
Yeah, sure. Please do. Please do.
Yes. So thank you, Professor Kannan sir, and thank you, respected Dr. P.K. Ghosh sir. It was on behalf of all the audience, I must say, thank you, sir. And as a student of biotechnology, I will say the beneficiary of your vision and the syllabi which Professor Kannan sir made. You can see like the two of the important genes are there, and you can see your protein in form of the Dinesh Kumar, who was your student. And I am a product of the Department of Biotechnology as on today. So, sir, thank you so much. Our viewers today learned the very first question, like why law was needed, especially for biotechnology, because there was a fear, and you have given a very good picture with including the global and evolutionary part, like why this law was needed, and we are fully convinced that yes, when we are playing with the genetic material, yes, there must be some kind of regulation. And it was very interesting to learn because I was able to see, but today I learned that how in 1986 it was created, the Department of Biotechnology, and how much visionary the people they had been. And we also learned from you that how biotechnology department was getting metamorphosis in various role, and very rightly explained by you that from 1986 to 1991, at that time, I guess the DBT rules and the regulations, as a law student, I can see it was far, far visionary than what I will say, what happened in post-global, because the country was almost prepared because of the vision and the mission you people were having. And after the moment, January 2003, the Cartagena Protocol India signed, I think that made it perfect, and the DBT acquired the three-dimensional role, I will say. One was the advisory, another was regulatory, and today we see the third dimension role, and that is the monitoring as well. So it was very easy for us with the lucid story, first-hand story shared by you to our viewers, and I enjoyed both as a teacher and also as a student, and also as a law graduate and also as a technology manager. And it was very, very interesting to understand how you managed licensing aspect even as a biologist, because you were at the time you were not having exposure of this, and I understand the kind of pain you and your entire team actually took. But the last question which you answered, that made me really to realize that how to express my sincere thanks and appreciation, especially when I see the role of DBT, because any kind of business we expect that where to invest money, usually it comes from the investor side in the technology management. But I am so happy to see another dimension, I will say the fourth dimension of DBT, which I see not only as a student and teacher, but also as a law graduate and also as a technology manager, the exposure I have, that it was the having a vision in sort of like the technology mapping, what we have been taught. It was your brain, like what market is going to be. Perhaps it was your brain, and you have given a series of industry and the people, those who were involved. What I will say, the investors were coming to you, and you had been a think tank for the investor. I don't know whether you could claim any kind of royalty from them, because we have a altruistic society, and as a government servant, we understood that salary is everything. Like the knowledge economy at that time was not evolved. So perhaps you never realized what kind of value you have even in terms of your knowledge. But we appreciate our Indian culture, altruistic vision, and the kind of contribution you have made. To me, at least, it is enormous. And thank you so much, sir, on behalf of all the industrialists, those who were your beneficiary actually. And today, this biotechnology industry has grown up, and we are dreaming that the bioeconomy is going to play a major role in the days to come, not only in terms of industry, even for secondary agriculture in various dimensions. So thank you on behalf of everyone. And I will say that one of your papers says 55 billion, and you see we are now dreaming to multiple times of it. And you never realized that from your Paleolithic economy to the agriculture economy, then pastoral economy to industrial economy. I think you are the best example of knowledge economy from the center of DBT as a founder advisor, one of the founder advisor. So thank you so much, sir. And what I will say to Professor Kannan, sir, that I don't have any words, sir, as a mentor, your role as a mentor in my life, not only when I was in a ARS service, but even to put me as a role of the teacher, and now I'm looking at the responsibility of Dean Academics. I guess, sir, you have made me connected with this kind of people, this kind of program, that still I am learning, and now whatever observation I was having, I am able to understand more clearly now. It was incomplete even as a teacher. So the benefit will go to the next generation, and today we have recorded with all the stalwarts of our country. So I bow my head in respect of each and everyone to all of you, that I really learned as a student, and I am much more beneficiary in the sense that now in the role of teacher, I can pass this to my next generation. And definitely, sir, the number of participants are limited, but I am sure the viewership is going to be very high, and the time you people have given, the precious time, it is going to give benefit to the society. So on behalf of the future viewers also, I express my sincere thanks, and I'm sure this link is going to be viral. And thank you once again, Professor Krishnamurthy Kannan sir, for your vision, for your mission, and the syllabi you made. I guess you are revising the BOS syllabi even today also for a teacher like me who is always your student. Thank you, sir. Over to Professor Kannan sir. Thank you.
Thank
Can I
you.
ask
Thank you.
a question? Can I
No,
ask a
I-
question?
Yes.
Just 1 minute, Ramanaya. Thank you so much, Dr. Ghosh, for sparing your valuable time and sharing all your insights, and Dinesh Kumar for being an excellent interviewer. We'll allow a few questions because we thought we'll finish it in 1 hour. So I leave it to Ramanaya. I know you have been actively involved, so you want to share some experience. Please, over to you, Venkat Ramanaya.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kannan, and thank you, Dr. Dinesh Kumar, for organizing this good lecture. And I just want to say thanks to Dr. P.K. Ghosh for recognizing my contribution and taking my name in several times. And initial stages, we really struggled hard beyond the working hours. We never used to see it is 5:30 or 6 o'clock, we should go to home. But we struggled very hard to find Supreme Court cases, and before that, organizing HIV diagnostic screening across the country, HIV-1 kit and HIV-2 kit across the country, and all those things. Hope Dr. Ghosh would cover that HIV screening things in the next episode. And just I want to say thanks to Dr. Ghosh for taking my name several times, and it's all your guidance, sir. I am still doing good.
Dr. T. Ramaswamy is there. I thought he could share a few of his experience. Dr. Ramaswamy?
Dr. Nene can say something. He is also very knowledgeable.
Yeah. I'm just thought I'll go through. Next is Sanjay Nene, because you have been, for you, it was a big transition teaching the biotech students, creating the human resource those days. Over to you, Sanjay.
Oh, an excellent presentation, Dr. Ghosh. I really appreciated the comprehensive way that you covered the birth of biotechnology in our country. There is a very important part which I'm sure you will address in your next talk, is the birth of institutions like RCGM, where really the whole set of regulations, and regulatory now has become so important that the birth of RCGM and also the IBSC, the Institution Biosafety Committees, that has spread across the whole country. And it is a very important part because it's initiated by a Department of Biotechnology. And now it has become very important to understand how these two organizations, RCGM, which is the key committee in DBT, and the IBSCs, which report to the RCGM, were formed, formulated, and introduced in our whole biotech structure. I'm hoping that Dr. Ghosh, you will address this issue, because it's very important to understand how it is born and how it proliferated in the country. Thank you. Otherwise, it was an excellent lecture and I enjoyed it very much.
Sudhir Prayaga, you want to say anything?
Yes, absolutely. I actually have some questions to address. First of all, good afternoon, good evening to all of you, and thank you very much for organizing this. Nice talk by Dr. Ghosh. So I want to bring up a first-hand experience. I just started a biotech company 2 years back, and for last 2 years, I am experiencing huge regulatory hurdle for accessing animal facility in India. Just as a background, I will tell myself, I have a biotech company in USA for last 15 years. And just 2 years back, because of guiding by few of my mentors to start a help Indian biotechnology, I started a company 2 years ago. And currently we are working on developing diagnostic and pharmaceutical products. And the hurdle I'm facing is to have access to animal use. and that too small animals, mouse and rats. And our Prime Minister Modi ji keeps saying that make in India, but to make in India, we have to be the price and cost and should be compatible with the rest of the developed world. But here, because of this, institutional biosafety regulations, even now, I still doesn't have a proper access to an animal facility for using mouse and rats. Whereas in US, only for larger animals, we have such a regulation. Using mouse and animals, mouse or rats are not that much regulated. The problem is when I approached many medical colleges and universities with the animal facility, they will say that we are going to meet once in 6 months or a year. And that too, they come up with some regulations and all kinds of questions, and it's kept pushing back. Whereas in US, if I want to start an animal work, I can get approval within a week. Again, I'm talking about within a week, because this animal safety committee is internal, not bringing all the people from outside. So you are adding the cost, you are adding the time, and you are also getting late to the market. So there is still a lot of regulations to be updated. That is one first issue. Number two issue I want to bring up here is the taxes and cost. Again, if you, as Modi ji is saying, if you want to be make in India, you want to be compatible and similar in prices and cost. What I found is many of the key materials I'm trying to bring to India, total cost is adding another 25% to my cost. So how can we make in India and compete with China and other countries? Okay, so these are the 2 points for now. I would like to, whoever is responsible to take this up. Thank you very much.
Can I respond?
Please do. Go, sir. Yeah.
I am very happy to answer this question. When I was a regulator, I used to work with my team with the idea that if a proposal comes to us, let us first be convinced whether the proposal has merit or it does not have merit. If I would be the RCGM member secretary today, then I can tell you, I will first see whether if you are going to import a genetically modified rat or a mouse or for that matter any other thing, my first question that I will ask to myself is it good for the country? If I feel that, well, it is good for the country, I will forget about all the law and I will just see that within a reasonable time, 2 to 3 days, you get the approval. This is what myself and Dr. Ramanna used to do. We were convinced that BT cotton is good for India. You do not know how much we fought for BT cotton, and with whom? With all these people who do not understand biotechnology, with all these people who do not understand the benefit of BT cotton technology. They think that, well, it is a multinational company and therefore they will take the profit. India will not be benefited. I was convinced that, well, if we find that it is safe to the environment, it is safe to the human health and animal health, and it is good for the country to increase our productivity, we will do it. And we did it. In 2002, we approved, I say we because I was also part of the team. It was approved by the Ministry of Environment and Forests. And today in 2022, we are the largest producer of cotton lint in the world. Why? Because we had approved that technology. People say, even today they say, BT cotton technology was a disaster to the country. I still say, if it is a disaster to the country, then why 99% of the cotton is even now produced by BT cotton using BT cotton technology? How do you say it is bad? It is bad only because it has a stint of Monsanto on that. You don't see how much money you have earned, how much your people have got benefited, how much cotton lint you have produced and made the country rich. So, to your question that your regulation has become difficult, it's not actually my problem because I have retired. If I would be there, I would have cleared it. I believe me, I would have cleared it within a couple of hours or maybe a couple of days, because I have to be convinced that, well, what I am doing is correct or not. Our Mr. Modi is trying very hard that we should make in India. But without technology, what will you do? And you can do technology only by encouraging the intelligent people. Anybody cannot develop technology. Anybody cannot do an industry. So if you recognize, and if somebody says that, well, this fellow is now promoting the industry, he must be doing some underhand dealing. So many people have told me so many things, but they have never been able to do anything. They took me to the Supreme Court. Myself and Ramana own the case. We just throw them out, telling that, well, you see, in RCGM, there is never said that, well, you can do experiment and generate data for safety to find that the product is good or bad. I interpreted, I said that, well, if RCGM's role is to find out whether a product is safe, whether a product is efficacious, then I must have data. Where from I shall get data unless I do the experiment? So I gave a permission. The Prashant Bhushan and those people, I do not want to name them by chance. Prashant Bhushan, actually, he fought against me personally. That's why his name came to my mouth, telling that, well, this fellow has destroyed some 400 square kilometers of Indian land by making BT cotton technology experimentation in this country. Myself fought with the Supreme Court. Myself and Dr. Ramana at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, we will prepare the reply to the petition. No ministry, Ministry of Agriculture will not help. Ministry of Environment will not help. Even DBT will not help. Ourselves we have to do. And then we fought and we won the case. This is because we were convinced that, well, we must promote this for the benefit of the country. If you are not convinced, then what Modi Sahib can say anything, but who will implement? It is not Modi who implements. It is the person who are looking after the laws. If the regulators do not understand, if they are not convinced, so this is what I wanted to say. So this is one, and then the time. Yes, time is most valuable in any industrial development. If you take to give an approval after 6 months, then it has no value. Which in US, I want to beat US. If US does in 7 days, I will do it in 2 days. Why not? But I must be convinced.
I think I can imagine Dr. Ghosh is emotionally involved in all this, so he is saying this. But I think, Sudhir, what I suggest is I'll give you the number of Dr. Ghosh, and if he can help you today to get over your problem. The idea of having these meetings is to network with people who can tell you how to go about it or help you to this thing. So I think will definitely help.
No, that way I can help by studying the particular problem and make a paper and tell that, well, you go to the Secretary DBT and tell, well, this is the case. Why I am being delayed? For what reason? Yeah. You are a citizen of India. You have the right to ask this.
Yeah. I think, thank you so much. I think I wish, is there any other question? If there is, otherwise we will wind up now for the time being, because there's going to be a part 2. Yes, Ramanaya, please tell. Unmute yourself, Ramanaya. Yeah.
Sudhir, if you can let us understand what exactly your problem through mail or phone, then we can suggest what could be the remedy, how to go about it. And you can.
I will catch up after the meeting.
I'll give Sudhir the number. Interestingly, Sudhir is also our first batch of biotech from Pune, 85, 87. So these are all our own students who have come out of the system.
First of all, let us understand what is the problems which you are facing regulatorily, and then how we can address it. Then there could be some way to meet the regulatory challenges.
So if, due to paucity of time, I think we'll call it. But I'm sure we'll have much more discussions going on. So thank you all for being there, and especially Dr. Ghosh and Dinesh Kumar, who was there. And behind the scene was Dr. George John, who always, he is the man who, with whom, he said, let us do this. I said, okay, let us do it. So I think, thank you so much, George. And we look forward to a collaboration between SBPI and KKBiotech. And I think it is our moral duty to educate our children, because they are only learning the subject. As Sudhir is now finding that in India, if we don't know the laws and regulations, nothing will move. Knowing science alone doesn't help us very much. Of course, I would have asked Dinesh to talk of some of the things he has done, but today time is not there. We'll use it next time, definitely, because he has done it for the wheat varieties, some very interesting things. But it'll take another half an hour to talk about it. But certainly, we look forward to all of you being there in other sessions also. And on record, I would like to thank SBPI partnering with KKBiotech for this one. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.